I tell her I have about 40 minutes in me. I have about 30.
That's 40.
Girl,
I tried.
I got 4.
I know, right?
Well, that part.
40 is.
You better go ask your brother.
Well, because about 10 or 15 of it is like when she puts me to sleep. Like she's like, you have to take a nap. I'm like, great.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melanie.
And Cody here, and you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
All right, mamas. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm super excited because we have a special guest in the den with us, talking all things motherhood, and especially how to engage our children when we're, struggling in the car, for example. Miss Tika Sumpter.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So before we get started, y'all, what's going on? What's new?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, demure voice is time.
Demure. It's getting very
Ashley
demure.
Demure Chia.
I have a very ratchet tone to my voice, I've been told, so I've been trying to use a soft, ladylike
Fake.
voice.
Does it feel right? to you?
No.
It doesn't feel right for them because they don't want to let me be great.
Okay.
But you don't let people hold you back from your greatness.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna
Okay.
be.
I want you to remember this tone by the time we get to the end of the
So
episode.
5 minutes
By the
from
time we
now.
get to the end of the episode, you'll know who Ashley is.
I'm in my soft girl era.
Girl. You're wearing
All
lip
right.
gloss today.
I'm wearing lip gloss.
It's popping.
I have on clothes. I'm talking soft.
You don't have on clothes? No?
I made breakfast for my kids today,
Oh,
not
wow.
my
What?
husband.
What time did you get up?
Girl, 7:30.
What?
What?
Wow.
She's a
Ashley be
wife.
sleeping, Tika.
Right.
Ashley be
love
sleeping.
it.
I sleep in normally every day, and my husband makes breakfast.
I
It's none of my
love it.
business.
It's none of my business.
Our husbands are great.
Yeah. See,
Are you
there
a breakfast
go.
maker?
My daughter loves my pancakes, so she'll be like, not dad's pancakes, because he'll put like peanut butter and she's like, it's too much.
Oh.
He does too much. Like with oatmeal, she's like, Mom, I want your food. She's like, and you put like seasoning and
Wait, are your husband's
I mean, he's
white
great.
cakes?
He's white, but he's great. He knows how to do his thing.
No.
Yes.
And I know how to do mine.
Yes.
No,
With
this
the
is,
no
that sounds
seasoning.
like my kids because my husband is half white, half Asian, and they say the same thing. They're like, Dad, he doesn't ever put salt in his food.
Or I just do it just right. You know what I mean? It's
But are
like-
the edges crispy is the question.
for
the
pancakes?
pancakes?
Yes.
I like fluffy. I don't like crispy.
Oh, I like a little
I like a
crisp.
good
I
fluff.
love a crisp
either.
on the end.
On
though.
the end,
Yeah,
it's
just
the
on the
something
outside.
around.
I
But
don't
you
like
put
it.
butter and you put butter and you make it. It does its thing.
It can do its thing.
It does its
I'm
thing.
not
But I
a
like a
crispy
fluff.
edge girl either.
Yeah, I
like
love
greasy.
a little.
Really?
Just a little.
No, I
Just
need,
a
I
little,
need that
and
crispy
still
edge.
fluff.
Yes, because
fluff.
the pancake place we love, which is not too far from here, they
it
make
called?
the J. Nichols.
Oh, yeah, she loves
Run it up. I will drive 45 minutes
She
on a
does.
Sunday morning to go
that's
get them pancakes.
wild.
They're the best pancakes. But they have the perfect thin layer of crisp. You don't notice it, but it's there.
I just want to point this out that you've said this. Melanie comes to visit me often, but it's always when she goes to Jay Nichols. So
Listen,
I've realized that it's not because of me.
It's a
no,
drive-by.
It's an
Good.
efficiently.
She could easily go back home.
Oh, okay.
That's true. No, she's not
I'm
wrong.
an
Give my
efficiency
friend her
girly. Thank you. I'm an efficiency girly. I will plan things how many birds, birds killing birds. How many things can we accomplish?
Can I do in one? Absolutely.
One
No,
run.
that's fair, especially
One
when
run.
in LA where everything is
So
very
far.
far. So you have to make choices. Like, all right, I'm going to do this one thing, so I'm gonna do 17 other
Today's
things that
I
are
don't
far.
do
Pancake
that.
and
I
friend
just
day.
drive to your house to visit you. But okay.
And it's easy.
Ma'am, untrue. She's like, we're dropping a mural off at her friend's house, which is like in the valley. We were thinking, rather than drive back down, because Tata's going to need a nap for 30 minutes, we could just drive to you and come see you.
Gotcha.
Points for efficiency as well.
But I will give my friend her flowers because she drove all the way out to Cam's championship basketball game. Yes, she did.
That's my boo.
She
Where
brought-
was it?
It was
in
far
BF
out.
Egypt, where she lives.
Wait, it was farther than you?
Did you
yeah.
say Egypt?
BF Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, farther
What's
than
funny
me.
is I know that saying, but everybody don't know that saying. And I was so
That's
shocked.
weird. Why don't people do you know the saying?
Girl, I just thought of Egypt. Like,
Yeah,
far.
like
BFE just means very, very far.
Yeah.
BFE?
What?
Yeah, there's curse words in the.
What does it stand for? BF.
You can say it. We'll bleep
Oh.
Like boom for Texas.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
boonies,
Okay.
basically.
Oh, the
it.
like,
And I think because
Okay.
I'm from Texas, where everything is very far, and you're from Ohio.
Yeah.
That'll
yeah,
do it.
it's a saying. Like when you're saying you're going somewhere far, where is it? Girl, it's in BF Egypt, child. I don't know.
Yeah.
Far away. Riveting.
Got it.
Riveting things.
Oh, you're being a lady. That's cute.
Okay, thank you.
Well, all of that said, okay, so Tika, how old is your daughter now?
Ella is 7 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
What sign is Ella?
Ella's a Libra. She'll be 8 next month in October.
So
She's in
when we
October,
met, we were both pregnant.
We were very
Tommy
pregnant.
was shooting a PSA.
Yep.
And I have this photo of both of us just like out to here, probably in like August or something
Yeah.
before Brooks and Ella were born.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Oh, so
like, I
she's
know.
about to be 8 then.
She's about to be 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super girly.
Yeah. Is she a girly?
Yeah, like girly or like what's her energy
She's like, she likes to surf. She likes to be in the ocean.
To surf?
this.
Does your husband do that? Like, where did she learn that?
Yeah, so she goes to the beach all the time with him, and she's like, Mom, I saw a nurse shark, and you know,
great.
we went to Hawaii and they're out snorkeling far, and he had to like go grab her because she's like,
Adventure
I'm
City,
following
yep.
a turtle, and I'm like,
Following a turtle.
yeah, I'm like, oh my god,
It's so
you're
cute.
6 at the time, you know, but she's just starting to skateboard. Like she's like she's outside.
Is she a
love
girl's
pictures.
girl?
She is. I mean, we love each other very much.
Yeah.
I told her she's the coolest girl I know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so we, you know, her and I like to talk. We're at the phase now where we're looking at her dad like. We both look at each other like
Outnumbered.
Oh boy.
Bro, you saw that? I asked because I have a Libra too, and I just love
I
my
love
Libra
her.
daughter.
I love her. I feel grateful. She's
100%.
logical too. Like, well, like.
Oh,
I
they're
mean,
very logical.
They're very
smart.
logical. And that's what somebody asked today on Twitter, like, do you guys apologize to your kid? And I'm like, absolutely, because
Yeah.
she is right a lot.
Girl.
What? She is.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, say her dad and I are having like a disagreement about something, and we usually like go and get out of here. You know, like you don't belong in this conversation.
Right.
But she'll be like, you know, Mom, Dad is right about that. Like,
Yes.
just hold on a second, and then Dad, you go, you talk now.
Aren't they
Oh,
so
she's mediating.
She's mediating.
Yeah.
I said,
Brooks
this
definitely
is not
does
your
that.
job.
For
Yes.
sure.
But I love it. I was
you know
like,
what,
wise.
though? But you know what though? I know like it isn't their job, but it also is a part, kind of a little bit of their purpose.
Yeah.
Because we tend to think that like we know it all, and it's so humbling to see how much our children can
No.
just like simplify
and
it.
pinpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peace be
Pinpoint.
knowing,
I
child.
feel like
Humbling
daughters
is the
are like
word.
that too. I mean, you said your son does it too,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is. I think it's like more humbling when your daughter lets you know that you're wrong, especially like in regards to your spouse. Because my oldest does that. She's a Pisces, so she's just like, I just feel like he didn't mean it that way, Mom. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you're overreacting, and I'll be like, girl, shut up.
But
I mean, like she's right though.
doesn't it calm you down?
It does, because you feel like, I think, well, if you are a person who wants to continuously grow,
Yeah.
like I always say, if you parent through a space of learning and not teaching, then you can do both, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
like I'm open to be corrected, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when my children tell me I'm wrong, I'm not like, I'm the mom, da-da-da. I'm like, oh, am I? Like,
Yeah.
I'll take a beat and then I'm like, oh, and you're right.
You have a point.
Yeah, and I calm down, and then I'm like, looking at how they're looking at me, and then how I respond means more, because then I'm like, wow, they're literally learning from me in this moment. So I
Yep.
have to be very mindful how I respond to their correction, because then they're going to learn to be corrected, which is good, right?
Yep.
And then how I'm responding to their husband, because they're going to my husband, they're going to mirror that in their own relationships, like how you talk to your partner. So yeah,
It's so true.
it's dope.
Well,
Our little angels.
You know, obviously, we know you from the screen.
Yes.
But also, you are like a very OG podcaster.
Yes.
who
Yeah.
now has a new podcast for kids,
Yeah.
Curiosity Cove. So,
Yeah.
like, can you tell us a little bit about your journey off screen?
Yeah. You know, I have this podcast. It's a kids podcast. I never thought I would get in that space. Like well, you never say never, but I think the journey of getting there has been, you know, we had the sugar, you know, and it's no longer around, but I'm glad that it's out there. You can still find it, but I'm glad that I did it because I felt like I learned a lot along the way. And what I did learn is that my own daughter likes podcasts. She'll be like, one day we were like, she was in the tub and she's like, I turned on something and she's like, Mom, can you turn that back on? It was like just stories for kids. And she basically now is always like, oh, can you turn my podcast on? Can I listen? Or in the car. And it just like gave me my own breather. And so I was like,
I know that's
huh.
right.
I do voiceovers all the time. I can story tell. I know writers. I know, and I love telling stories. That's my thing. And so my husband and I created this, you know, storytelling podcast for kids with all original stories, and it's called Adventures of Curiosity Cove, also because we're always by the beach. And so we made this like little town, and this girl, her name is Ella the Curious, and she's a girl who figures out her own life by not only being curious but making a lot of mistakes. And through her drawing, she solves them. And so that's one series within Adventures of Curiosity Cove, and then there are other one-off stories. So
Did it derive from you writing a book?
So yeah, I actually wrote this book that's coming out next year, a children's book, and it's weird. I have this drawing, terrible drawing, because I'm not good at art, but I literally wrote this little girl with 2 pigtails, and I wrote Ella the Curious because my daughter was always asking questions like usual. She's always just like, I don't know, she's just interested in life. And so I'm like, you're just always so curious about everything. And so,
Libra child.
yeah.
That's that Libra child.
Yeah, asking questions, and at nighttime they have every question in the book, and they want to tell you everything.
Yes.
And so I just kind of came up with this idea and went to my husband, and he's a storyteller as well, and he's like, I'll write some stories as well, and because we were always telling her stories as like she loved things that we would make up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they love using their imagination.
Yes.
And like I am not the best. I'll admit, like my daughter loves playing pretend. I don't.
Girl, we had an episode on that. I said, I'm not playing that Barbie with you.
Yeah, and I'll do it. I tell her I have about 40 minutes in me. I have about 30.
That's 40.
Girl,
I tried.
I got 4.
I know, right? Well,
That part.
40 is
You better go ask your brother.
well, because about 10 or 15 of it is like when she puts me to sleep. Like she's like, you have to take a nap. I'm like, great.
That's the
Oh.
best.
That's amazing.
You're like scrolling. Like,
No, I'm just like laying there,
she's
and I'm
taking
like,
a nap.
she's like, are
A
you
real
sleeping?
nap.
Yes, I'm tired.
Yes,
to the
that's a
role.
40 minutes I like.
Yeah. So I'll do that, but I tell her a time limit. But yeah, so I'm like, and also, nowadays people are trying to have less screen time and all that stuff for our kids. And so I really want them to not only be socially, emotionally learning things, but also I love when Tommy, I came in here and Tommy's like, guess what we listened to this morning in the car? And I was like, you listen. He showed it to me, and I was
excited
like,
to listen to it.
yeah. And I had another person be like, oh my God, we usually listen to Disney podcasts. My daughter started crying because you only had one, episode up last week, and I was like, okay,
that's
this
fine.
is all working. So.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
okay.
beautiful.
One more thing, and then I'll get out the way.
No, you don't have to get out the way.
Do you ever allow her to write stories, and then she tells the story, or even if it was your voice?
Yeah, so she's a little shy. Like I'm always like, do you want to go on the carpet with me? She's like, no.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be in front of the camera. Even like at the end, like I asked her, I was like, will you say this is a Fort Sumter production? And she's like, okay, I'll say it. But she's very creative. I kind of like give her space to create.
Yeah.
She's not ready yet. Like she'll
Yeah.
be like, oh mom, I drew this thing, or she'll make up stories on her own.
Yeah.
But like she's not ready yet.
Yeah.
But I just like let her be free.
I love
I
that.
love
I think
that.
that's
What I was
important.
gonna say.
Yeah, there's no forcing. She'll literally be with me at an event, and I'm like, you want to go on the carpet with me? She's like, I don't.
You know what? I was
You
going
got
to
it.
ask you that because you don't really post her face on your social. Is that her or you, or was it just a
It's
family
really-
consciousness thing?
Me, I would do it a little more often, but it's her dad who's like, he's very protective of her.
Really?
And yeah, because people are sometimes a little weird.
Yeah.
People have made entire videos of her, and and so it's been weird. So he's very like, no more. We're done.
I wish that I honestly, if there's one thing I would ever do over, it would be that I wish that I never. It's like I'm too I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. But I wish that I love when I see that people are able to do that, and their children can decide when they want to share their image online, because for that purpose, all of us, people stop us all the time about our kids that we don't know.
I know.
Before I was Felicia's friend, like she did my makeup casually, and then I saw her daughter with Tia. Remember it was like a shoe event. I literally texted her and I was like, I see your daughter, she's so beautiful, but I am not walking up to her because she has no idea who I am.
are.
But people will walk up to my children and be like, I know your mom, and that's weird and it's creepy. But if they didn't know their faces, then they wouldn't know it was my kid.
Yeah.
The worst when that happens, like the worst is when it's someone that like is an acquaintance, and let's say they have my phone number and they take a picture of my child and they're like, I see your son, and I'm like,
I see him every day.
mind you, it's not even like Zen is posing. It's like
Like
you
a creepy
literally
photo.
Yeah. And then it's when they're with their father, and their dad is the same way. He's like,
No.
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah. I think it's just, it's everybody's choice. But for me, that's why it's so funny when I post her from behind. They're like, that's her. She's that big. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah.
She's growing.
She's growing. That's
her
what
life.
they do.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
no.
think that's great.
Yeah.
So the podcast premiered in early September.
Yes.
And is it going to be seasonal? Is it like year round? How many are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're doing 12 episodes every quarter, and so so it's till we have till December, and then the new season will be out in January. So
What's it based in?
what do you mean?
Like in terms of the story, like is it like mental health forward? Like what?
It's social emotional intelligence.
Fire.
Yeah, it's things about bullying. It's things about telling the truth. It's things about finding your light. We have this one called Dragon that my husband wrote, and it's about this kid who faces this dragon in the forest, and the dragon represents his fear. And the more he faces it, the smaller the dragon gets until it disappears.
I love that.
And so like it's really dripped in like all the things that kids deal with and sometimes don't have the words to talk about. And so we just wanted to make it fun, and we wanted them to be like, we want them to draw and send in their stuff, and I just want them to like use their minds.
What a beautiful way to also tap into adults too.
We wanted to we like when we can co-view and we're not like, here's this song again. It's like it's fun when Ella's like, turn on. She loves this song that Zendaya did back in the day, and she's like, look around. And she's like, it's like an old Zendaya song, and she's like, oh, I like this, and I'm like, oh, this is cute, But we know, like, when you watch a movie, you're like, I would like to not be bored. So we hope that when you guys have a moment in the car and you're like, I just need a second. Let's turn this on. Oh, that's good. That's a good story. You're like, so we did little drops and diamonds for parents as well.
I love stuff that's like conversation for the family too. You can listen to it and then talk about it. So Tommy, as you mentioned, he has been taking the kids to school, so he listened to it with them. I listened to it by myself. Yeah. But there was an episode about Ella breaking mom's vase. Yeah. And lying. Yeah. And I was like, dang, I wish my kids were here. We got to talk about this. It was very cute. It was very cute.
Thank you.
Do you think that you will eventually, because when you were even talking about the Dragon, when I know you have a book coming out, but like transfer those episodes into like an actual book series?
Yeah. So
animation series.
I know.
Yeah. So that's the goal, is to use all this like original IP to create books and create products and things like that are very thoughtful. Like I don't want to just create stuff for just like junk, because I feel like I'm trying to get rid of a lot of stuff out of my life. But I wanted to really help parents and kids, and I just want to relieve parents a little bit. With
Thank you, girl.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question to pivot a little bit.
Yes, please.
Outside of the podcast, as the mom, as the actress, as the wife, as the person. I always love meeting other creatives or people who are, their careers are based in the arts, because the transition to motherhood can sometimes just be so challenging, terrifying, joyful, like depending on what it is, especially when you are public facing. And, I'm always interested to know the journey of what got you there and what it was like for you. I remember there's an actress, she had twins, and she had them by surrogacy because she admitted, she was like, I was not prepared to slow my career down to be pregnant for 9 months. And she was like, and so I didn't want to slow down my career, and I knew that it would. And I always found that I was like, wow, again, personal choice. Right. Yeah. But that's a real thing. Like, so. It's
a very real thing. And I know now people everybody's talking about their kids now. There's all, there's podcasts, there's all these things. It's like, you're in magazines with your kid, like, but coming up, that would like you were hiding things.
Yeah, I feel like you two might have that in common a little bit.
I just did a panel where I talked about this. It was for moms in music, and they honored me, which was really nice. Yeah. But every woman that went up there said the same thing. How I had to hide, I was shamed, I had the guilt, I was told that I'd be damaged goods, I was told that I was less appealing, I was told that, it's the end of your career, and I would you lose something of your spark and what people are attracted to once you have babies. And it's crazy because I'm pretty sure you probably feel the same way. I didn't even think, I was like, I don't subscribe to that until I got pregnant. And then I realized that the fear, like they had planted a seed in me that I didn't even know was growing. And I was terrified. Like I hid my pregnancy for as long as I could when I first got pregnant.
Well, yeah, it's so crazy because I was on the haves and the have-nots with Tyler when I got pregnant. The crazy thing is I didn't tell anybody, and he called me. He's like, are you pregnant? I was like, Huh?
Were you showing?
No.
Wow.
No, and it was early. And he just called, he's like, I don't know, something told me that are you pregnant? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay, cool. I worked until he was like, okay, cool, we'll shoot you here. It's not a big deal.
Wow.
He didn't make it such a thing,
Yes.
you know? And it is in our industry at that time where it was like, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember going into an audition being like, it'll be out by the time, you know. But I was like,
It'll be out. It'll be done.
done. Like she's, you know, whatever. She's, yeah.
Don't worry,
I
this
can
won't be
tell
here.
when I walked in, it was like,
Yeah.
lady,
Lady, go take your maternity leave after.
yeah, because what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is not this. And so it constantly told you like you weren't worthy or valuable. And so, but my journey has been pretty incredible in the sense because I love how we are right now. Like I love how people are showing their pregnancy, the way they're dressing and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a journey of like acceptance.
Yes.
And and I'm happy to be here and in a place where we can celebrate those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really when I had my son, that was the first thing that I realized. Like I had gone through this whole process. Eventually, of course, I made a music video out of it. But when I had my son, and then the aftermath of that, that's actually what kind of pushed me into the motherhood space. Was because I was like, nobody's actually talking about what really happens.
Oh yeah, same.
And how you really feel. And of course, being in an industry of like public persona, everybody just shows how like life goes back and your body goes back and everything. And I was like, my body is not going back. I'm crying 6 weeks later.
Oh yeah.
Why is nobody talking about how difficult this was? My birth didn't go at all the way I planned it to. And that's, I think, again, the journey has led us to this entire space and this entire podcast.
Yeah.
That's I mean, that was the point of the sugar for me. It was like, I just felt like things weren't being talked about.
Yes.
And the way it was being talked about to us was very different how other people were talking about it. It was, the care wasn't there. It was kind of like, Black moms, great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, women of color. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like, that's all I have for that. I just feel like I'm glad that you guys are here to talk about things in a way that it just feels beautiful, like nice and safe, and not everything's safe. Look, okay, we're gonna talk about some things, but it does feel like you can be yourself, your true self, and pull up. So
Yes.
Even when I think about what you over there doing,
Tommy, you all right?
Tommy's just trying to get a picture. I love it. I love you, Tommy.
I was gonna say even where was I going?
Oh no, Tommy
Damn
fail.
it. But
You know, he got some
even-
fire photos though.
right. So I was a makeup artist for 15 years, and I remember when I got pregnant, I called my mom, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? And it was at a very pivotal time in my career. I was popping, and then I was still popping after that too.
Yeah.
But
Girl, you still popping. We would love to hire you any day of the week. Okay?
Girl, it's the way I was struggling to put on a lash today in the bathroom. Alicia.
Same. The eyeliner was not eyelining.
it was not lining.
It was not lining.
But I just remember feeling like my career is over. Like my mind went there, and my mom was like, no, everything is just beginning. It's, but there was times where clients were like not calling because they're like, oh, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't you think
clients,
that's why you should
friends.
call me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You did
Or
my makeup
friends.
while pregnant with Zen. I called.
Thank you, Cody. But I do think that there's this misconception, but now because it is embraced publicly, it is more of like, yeah, I'm pregnant, and this is just what it is, and this is something beautiful. But like, I couldn't imagine not having my children because everything I do is rooted in them. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
what the hell? What was I doing before?
What we doing
this?
before? Exactly.
But you know what else? Like needing to see those examples of people like working, like, because I'm hearing you and I'm thinking about like, why wasn't I scared? And obviously being behind the scenes is very different.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who made a movie the 9th month of her pregnancy. She made an indie film, so it's like 30 days. Produced the film, like fully 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Then had the baby and then kept it moving. And that's what I saw like 2 years before I got pregnant.
Right.
So for me, it was like, well, I guess we're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because we talked about this too, because you were like, you went back to work like,
Too fast.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too fast twice.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know, but I think it's it probably depends on the situation. Like for me, when I became a mom, I was 24 with my oldest, and I was a ballet dancer. So that was like, I danced until I was 7 months pregnant with her, and then it was over. And I had to like recreate my entire life because I wasn't going to go back to New York. I wasn't going to be able to dance for the dance company anymore. Because my boyfriend, now husband at the time, he lived in Ohio. So it was like, you know, we want to raise the baby together.
Yeah.
And we also couldn't afford to live in New York.
Right,
so
right.
let's go back to the Midwest. But that helped me creatively. Like that really, I feel like my daughter catapulted my life into the direction that it is, because everything I started creating after that was for my child. Because we were a mixed race family, I created a children's book that was like celebrating all children.
Beautiful, beautiful me.
Yes.
We love reading it at home.
Right. And I created the blog, and then I started the program and was going into schools and doing diversity training for kids in schools. And I feel like everything that like really made my life more meaningful happened after I had my child. And she really like inspired my creativity. There's just so many things.
It's so
Go
fire.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I always say that people that come to me and they, you know, they're like, do you have any advice? Because naturally you feel like I'm not ready. It's an experience that you don't know until you're in it. But I always say, as soon as you have the kid, I feel like God just takes the light switch and it's like, boom. And you're like, wait, all of a sudden I know what to do when I didn't know what to do before, you know? So yeah, I feel that.
I feel like I think there's two lanes here, because I think it's like, I just told a friend, like, I feel like mothering Ella has mothered me.
Yep, we just
said this yesterday.
And also, I think when you're in it, right, you get so wrapped up in motherhood that you do forget about yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so recently I even said, like, I had a moment where I had to work in New York, and I was like, I felt like I found myself again, because I felt like I was so wrapped up in being a wife, a mom, and all the things that I was like, where's Tika? Like, and I was feeling myself walking around New York again. I was like, I put on clothes. I
was
got
in New York
dressed.
this weekend. I know.
Yeah, I went and had drinks by myself, and then with friends, and I went to a concert, and I was there. It was always, everything was so spontaneous, and I was like,
love that.
oh, she's that girl. That's me. Like, I'm still cool. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not just that anymore.
But you know what? They say that it takes a woman 7 years
And
to really
that's-
connect back to herself
Yes.
after having a child.
Yes.
And even though, like, I know this time, even with my son, like, he's 8.
Yep.
And my daughter's 2. And even though she's 2, this time around, I gave myself so much greater permission
Yes.
right away
Yes.
to be like,
Yeah.
are we 2? Great.
Yeah.
I'm
We know
reclaiming
what
my
it
time.
is.
Yes.
Time
Yes.
for me to
Reclaiming
go.
my
And
time.
all of a sudden, the guilt is like
Not
not as
there.
guilting.
Oh.
Like I'm just like,
Oh, same.
Yeah. I'm
Same.
Like, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna be fine.
Tika,
especially
how do
me.
you incorporate your who you are with your motherhood? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you? Because I was 24, so I was like, I'm going to the club.
Yeah.
And we were taking my daughter. I didn't care. I was pregnant in the club, and I was pregnant after the club.
But she didn't take the baby to the club.
I mean,
I
baby
took
was
her-
with the home.
She
I
went to
love
a
it.
Jay-Z and Beyonce concert. My daughter went, but because we were younger, we took her everywhere. And I noticed when we started having the other 3, we started to just become very insulary and stay home. And we had to have that conversation of like, no, we can do the same thing even though we have 4 kids, but we still need to keep that energy in our home of like still being fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because and I know people say this all the time, but literally if you are empty, you are not doing anything for your family.
No.
You are not able to fill cups at all.
Yeah.
And so you gotta get that energy back. You gotta get up and go get a shower and put on your shoes and like go outside. You gotta
Hang out
go.
with your friends.
Yes, you
Yes.
have to make
Yeah.
a plan, because you leave yourself behind, and when
Yeah.
you start leaving yourself behind, you start being resentful.
Yeah.
And you're something happens.
Yes.
Where you're looking at everybody like, I am so sick of giving and
Yes.
giving.
Yes.
I got to give to myself. And so how I started doing that is doing it. And literally
Yeah.
being like, Ella, you're fine with your dad, you know what I mean?
Bye.
Or babysitter,
Yes.
or,
Yeah.
you know, just, and my husband and I think you evolve with your husband, and you still got to like try to date. And
Yeah.
like, I know some people are like, set the date nights, which I am so terrible at,
Same.
but I am getting back on it. And
Yeah.
so, but as a mother, as a person, an entity on my
Yes.
own,
Yeah.
you are still you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's really important to remember as well. And you can love your kids, you can love your husband, but you got to remember you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we could ask you questions all day long.
Yes.
But so we have a part of the show where we ask, the viewers, the listeners, both, they ask us questions. So are you down to stick around to answer some questions?
No, I'm okay.
No, gotta go. I gotta date with myself.
That Gemini.
Right. She's like, no.
No, of course I am.
So we're going to take a quick pause for ads, and we're going to get into the questions.
Fantastic.
All right, y'all. So we're so grateful for all of the listeners and viewers that write us questions at podcasts
With an S.
at blacklove.com or hit us on IG at the Mamas in Podcast. All right. So today we have a question. Who wants to read it?
I'll read it. Hello, mamas. It's been about a month since the start of the new school year, and I'm feeling overwhelmed. My children seem to think it's still summer. They want to spend their time playing and engaging in video games instead of prioritizing their homework. This ongoing struggle has left me frustrated and exhausted. I find myself losing patience, resorting to nagging and yelling, which is not the kind of mother I aspired to be. Can you offer some guidance on how to help my little ones readjust to their school routine and bring back a sense of balance and harmony in our family?
Child.
You
With
wanna
the
answer
exception of
first,
the video
Tika?
games, I could have wrote that question. We don't have video games, but all that's happening.
Yeah, y'all weird. Y'all like Amish. Y'all don't even have TV.
Ashley,
Tommy is like no TV, no music, no noise. Read
know what,
books
that-
and do science.
you know what's crazy? That's actually crazy because you guys are in film and television.
That's what I said.
Listen,
I never
That's
made this
probably
connection till
why.
right
It's
now.
TV on his terms, okay?
I mean,
Weekend, Our Planet, Animal
That's
Planet.
what I was about to say.
Yeah.
When
Discovery
dinosaurs
Channel.
ruled the world.
I love that.
That's what we watch.
Okay, so they do
And-
have a TV.
And Sonic.
No, they do.
Sonic.
Okay, they do have a TV, but they really don't watch it during the weekday.
We don't.
We don't either.
We don't
yeah,
either.
we don't either. But like sometimes I'll be like, okay, well maybe we'll just have a little
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
a little family show.
Yeah.
Same.
But yeah, we try not to. Okay, so what I was gonna say to this is that it's too late now, but for the future, I suggest people starting that routine before school starts. So
fair.
we really
That's
like
fair.
a week or so before school gets, we're back to my teenager hates it too, but we're back to the bedtime. We're back to getting up, showering, doing all of these things. So in the future, I would say to start it before school starts.
Yeah.
But even now, it's just like, they're kids. I would just take a deep breath and realize they're children. Like it's going to take them a minute to adjust the same way it takes us a minute to adjust
my
when the
God.
school year
Yeah.
starts. We're like, ugh, y'all
Oh my
here
God.
again? Gotta feed you.
Yeah, you give yourself grace,
Yeah.
right? And like give yourself like a few weeks to like
Yeah.
get a rhythm. Because when you're back to school, they're like, okay, these are all the things we need, and they're emailing
Yeah.
you, and there's
Child,
all
the emails.
Email.
the emails and but yeah. So and I'm in a different space. I haven't really told a lot. If you read my newsletter at Fort Sumpter, it's Fort-Sumter with a P. We pulled her out of her private school and we started homeschooling.
Oh.
Yeah.
So no emails.
Are you facilitating? You have someone facilitating.
No, my husband and I are facilitating.
Wow.
And it's a lot of work, but it's been so good because I feel like there's a ton of Black women homeschoolers and
Yeah.
who I'm always just enamored with, and it took a lot of but what I love what they do is they give themselves time in the beginning of the year. It doesn't just like jump right in,
No.
do
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
It's like letting them acclimate.
Yep.
And so to me, that's really helped my daughter as
Yeah.
well. I can't believe I'm doing this. I never thought I'd be doing this, but I am. And but it's been good so far.
You're giving me hope
I would
because I
say-
legitimately consider every day I take my son to school, how could I homeschool him?
Me
Like,
too.
it would actually
Me
be my
too.
dream
Both of y'all.
Girl.
to homeschool him, but I just don't think God gave me this ministry.
No, but he,
I
but he
don't-
did
No,
give
the
you money.
ministry
but he
is a
gave
hard-
her mama
That's-
the ministry.
And he gave you money to move closer to me so that I can help
Or
you.
not us trying to
Not money
figure
to
out.
hire somebody, money to move closer to me.
Because he's
puzzle
looking at
pieces
houses that are not on my block, and that's your problem.
That's your
That's
problem.
your
Because
problem.
you homeschool?
I was homeschooled until high school. I homeschooled my oldest until high school, and I'm homeschooling my littles until high
And
school.
they're
Yeah.
so smart
And my mom helps.
so
Oh,
advanced.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
I know.
Girl,
No, I know.
Incredible. You know what
Yeah.
I would say to this question too? One thing I had to learn that I'm gonna make sure that I implement this coming summer. Don't get too don't get too far away from what your schedule is.
Yep.
So like keep it at, if you're gonna go to bed at 8:30, keep it at 8:30. Limit certain things,
Yeah.
you know, because I feel like for myself, we were waking up at any time, going to sleep at any time. So by the time it was time, time to go back to school, my children were like, what the hell is this? So I was like, you know what, that's my bad. I was just a little bit too lenient, you know, but just
structure.
Yeah, especially my son, he thrives in structure.
Yeah.
Because I was asking his dad, I'm like, what is going on? He was like, Fee, you just threw everything out the window. I'm like, you're right.
I also think incentives, like earning the privilege of playing video games or watching a show or something, because obviously it sounds like she's in a household where that's fine, but the kids have to know, like, look, there's time and place. So if you want to watch your show, you got to do your homework. As long as it takes you to do your homework, that's the less time you get to watch your show or play your video game.
It's a privilege.
You know, it's a privilege. And so, you know, you got to get your kids to also learn, like, the earning of it, the incentivization of it, to be able to be like, okay, well, I always say to my son, in order for you to do what you want, you got to do what you need.
Come on now.
So
make your bed.
all those things. Do what you need to do, then you get to do what you want to do. Like,
and you know, they're kids, so it's like it's never too late to start to train your kid to understand that. They're going to give that pushback those first couple of weeks, maybe that first month, but then they'll
be fine.
Stay strong.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Stay strong. Hold your ground.
Well, y'all see when I was so irritated with these iPads. It was a fight every other day. You know what I did? I didn't do it in front of my kids.
Yeah.
I took that hammer and I busted them things. I was so over it.
Oh, wow.
When I tell you, she's like, oh, shit.
Not you
Well,
busted
no,
the
what did you?
iPad.
What were you over?
I was over the bickering. I was over my son, like, if he's playing a certain game, even if it's like Donkey Kong or Mario, if he loses, he's like upset.
Angry.
That's my game. Yeah, he would get so mad. And when I tell you, it was a complete, I'm so happy that I did it.
Yeah.
So happy that I did it. But even we're the same way. We don't watch TV like that during the week.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have them pretty trained on like, the answer is no.
Yeah.
First off, like that's a wrap on today, but we're so happy to have you, Tika.
Oh my gosh, this has been, it's like a soft pillow, like a landing. It's nice.
That's fire.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
love that for us. No, but the sugar is like one of my like mom, probably the mom. I don't think I listen to any other mom podcast. You know what I mean?
you.
So I'm grateful for you and Ty starting that, and you know, being able to be on that journey when I needed it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you passed the torch to us.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love this.
Wait, also tell us where we can find you. Like, give us
Instagram, it's just Tika Sumpter. And Threads, it's the same. Twitter, I am Tika Sumpter. You can just find Tika Sumpter, I think, on Instagram. I think I'm terrible with this stuff. What about Sumpter? And then we just put up a new site where you can see like the character cards on Adventures of Curiosity Cove. So they'll talk. You press play. So it's really interactive. And then also there's like blog posts for mom, and then my newsletter is also audio. So if you don't have time to like read it, you can like grab a coffee and just press play. But I'm really there to service parents, mothers, and to make life a little bit easier.
I love this.
And I hope it feels like a nice cup of tea when you come to the Fort, FORT Sumpter, SUMPTER.com. So that's my website. But also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, that's where you can catch Adventures of Curiosity Cove. And I'm excited to go on this journey with everybody.
Yay! I'm happy for you. I'm excited for you too.
For all of us, we benefit.
Thank you. Thank you. And Sonic, December 20th.
Yes,
Sonic's mama, ladies and gentlemen. Sonic's mama.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for
Awesome.
coming and shining your light.
It was
I
so
love this.
easy. So easy.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I like it. I like it like that.